The agenda today: unrivaled security, blazing performance, built for virtualization. A couple of questions came in, and you probably saw them as I was flipping through trying to get GoToWebinar working. Once again, SEP 12, scheduled for general availability in the July timeframe. For more information, there is a section on the Symantec Connect website that talks about SEP 12 and has some dates in it, and you can go ahead and look for it there. Unrivaled security, blazing performance, built for virtualization. So, the problem. Malware authors have switched tactics from a mass distribution of relatively few threats to a micro-distribution model. So one of the notes that Symantec says is that if you look at two viruses, the Voodoo virus, every 18 customers that Symantec sees, a new variant is coming through. Whereas with the Heuristics virus, what we're seeing is that every 1.6 customers get a new version or a new variant of the system. So how are we going to deal with that? Both millions of file variants, both good and bad. One of the things that's going to see in this webcast is that Symantec is going to start using reputation-based file security. So imagine if we knew about every file in the world today, and then how many copies of each file existed. Well, then we could start figuring out which files were good, which files were bad. And then let's order them by prevalence, with the bad on the left and the good on the right. And then you can see that we can start ranking files and providing a reputation around the files. So we have bad files on the left, good files on the right. So if we could address one of these issues, we'll miss this whole, what we call the long tail, right? So we have very definite, very definitive good files, and we can whitelist those, and very definite bad files. So blacklisting works very well on the bad files. These are the files that I want to blacklist. And whitelisting works very good on the good files. So how do we deal with the tens of millions of files that are out there that we don't know exactly what they are? Are they good files? Are they bad files? Where does this fall in? And this is where the majority of that malware falls. So I can blacklist the known bad ones and get a small portion of the files, or whitelist the good files and get a small portion. But all that stuff in the middle that might be good, might be bad, is what I miss. So this is what Symantec is working on addressing, this what we call the long tail portion of security and endpoint protection. So the solution are these new products, and we'll talk about a couple of them. Symantec Insight, what we refer to as SONAR, the online network for advanced response, Download Insight, Safe Web, WebLite, and the advanced security policy. So if you currently use the consumer version, the Norton products, you're used to seeing some of these if you use it at home. For example, I run Norton Internet Security at home, so I know about some of these products already. And now what we're doing is we're moving those into the corporate or enterprise world. So let's talk about one. Let's talk about Symantec Insight, the first product. The real goal here is reducing the performance, the scan time, and also improving the security behind things. So Symantec Insight allows us to increase that protection throughout the whole product, whether we're using a scanless engine, SONAR, different heuristics, or Download Insight. And we'll talk a little bit about these. So what we can start doing is putting a combination of a context around a file. So I know that this file has a good reputation. It's out there on a lot of computers, and it's also been around for a long time. So then I can react to it. Okay, good reputation, good file, and I can start trusting that file, both because of good reputation and its prevalence out there, or combination of prevalence and age. This file has not changed in X amount of days. And we can start building our scans and allowing applications to be used based on that scan. So let's talk about how it works. All right. So I'm going to build a collection network, and what we have going on in the Norton product is this collection network, and we'll be moving that into the SEP or enterprise area, where we collect a group of files and submit those files up into to Symantec, rating that file for age, source, behavior, and prevalence. So now I have a rating or a reputation that's built into this file. Then let's start talking about associations and what type of things goes into this file. Okay, so I know about the file, I know about its prevalence, I know about its age, I know about behavior. Now, when I run a scan, let's go ahead and check that score to see if that's a trusted file or not, right? So we check that file, and then we can provide that actionable data. So this is a new file. How do I want to allow it? Does it have a bad reputation? Do I want to deny it? Allows me to then build this reputation right into the scan engine. Why Insight? Going back to the those key things at the front, right? Unrivaled security and blazing performance. We're not replacing any of the technology within the current Symantec endpoint protection product, but Symantec says that this makes our technologies more powerful. So we can block malware using the community wisdom. So what does this mean? I forget the number, but it's something obscene of the number of files that Symantec endpoint protection and then the Norton product knows about through being submitted to the online community. So we can block that file even if we don't have a fingerprint. So going back to those viruses and how often they're changing, we don't have to continually update new fingerprints. We can use the reputation of a file even if we don't have the fingerprint created. So gives us a better resolution on the heuristics and behavior blocking, and then also gives me a chance to potentially kill malware once and for all. A lot of bullet points here, so let's kind of talk our way through there. So Insight leverages the Online Network for Advanced Response, or SONAR. So that allows us to deal with suspicious behavior detection, also gives us system change detection. So this product is trying, or this file or malware is trying to change host file entries or DNS entries. Okay, that's obviously a problem. SONAR working with SEP gives us a new real-time protection. We're able to convict that file as either being good or bad on process launch, in real time, inspecting to see exactly what's happening. It also gives us new support for file and registry protection, and we do update the heuristic engine through Symantec Live Update. A couple of other really nice things is this gives us the ability to convict that file. It's a high confidence that this file is malicious, or low confidence that this application is malicious. And we can start ranking things based on confidence within our policies in our system. So if this file is malware, then there's three options that we can do: quarantine, remove, and then log, and we can control exactly what's happening within the policy. So this is what's going on within my SEP manager here. You can see that I can create a policy specific to SONAR, enable that, and then if it is a high risk detection, I want to quarantine it. If it's a low risk, let's go back up a slide to take a look at this, right? High confidence, highly likely that this application is malicious, or low confidence that this application is malicious. So you can see our two check boxes. Let's see right here within the settings. And then what happens with the alert. I'm going to show the alert upon detection, prompt that, etc. Also, I was talking about DNS or host file changes. We can see those right here within the section. And then what happens for a threat? Do I want to block it or ignore based on high risk or low risk? And we can set that and control that within our policy. And this is 2 examples here. A potential threat has been detected or a potential system change has been detected on your computer. I'm seeing some questions come into the section here, which is great. Continue to have those come right in. Download Insight. This has existed in the consumer product as well. Download Insight allows us to check the reputation of binaries being downloaded, and we can set that up within the policy to say, all right, what's our level of protection here? And it's either going to be 9 maximum, a 1 minimum. The typical setting is 5. That means any files that show some evidence of being untrustworthy, go ahead and then block them. And you can see the pop-up that then shows up within the end user. So what do I want to do? Remove this file from my system, allow this application anyway. You can also see down here at the bottom a couple of things coming in from our reputation. Not enough information about this file to recommend what to do with it. Not many users, and that it was less than 7 days ago. We can build policies here within the Endpoint Protection Manager based on the reputation, how many users, etc. within the system. We can also build in that Insight scan within our scan configuration. So you can see here that my weekly scheduled scan, which is a full scan, I can enable this Insight lookup. And then at what level do I want to set my sensitivity for malicious file sensitivity? What you're going to see is when you run this scan, your scan is actually going to let you know how many files were trusted based on their Insight scan. So let me give you an example. When I run my scan on my laptop with this running SEP 12.1, I get a little notification of how many files I was scanned and how many files that were then trusted. And I think currently it's like 1,700 of the files that are on my laptop are trusted. So it's not scanning those files, thus reducing the time and the speed, improving performance of my scan. A couple really cool things that we have within the firewall in the IDS section. Firewall rules now can be applied to IPv6 traffic for those of you that are moving to IPv6 within your network. Improved Windows firewall integration, NDIS 5 and NDIS 6 support for those that are using it, and then we've decoupled the dependencies from AV and the IDS portion of items. This gives me the ability to add in additional policies. So for example, you can see that I am blocking a particular request based on something. And I also have an ICMP trigger based on location awareness. So allow me to respond to pings on my network, but not when I go outside of the network. I talked about improved performance, but really when it comes down to it, the real key is the unrivaled security. Some infographic here, some ratings that we have around Symantec Endpoint Protection 12. A lot of really cool graphics. Really the meat and potatoes of things is that Endpoint Protection 12.1 provides the best out there. In Endpoint Protection 11, one of the problems that we dealt with is that deployment was a struggle at times. So what we're working on is fixing deployment of the Endpoint Protection agent. So we have now improved when and where and how we deal with reboots, giving the better visibility into the deployment system, specifying the steps needed. Really what it comes down to is easing the deployment of the endpoint protection agent. So I won't read all of these slides. I apologize, my bullets got a little messed up, but really what it comes down to is improve client installs, improve client deployment within SEP 12. One of the things that we have here is that the Endpoint Protection 12 product will install side by side with an existing 11 product, and then will replace that once the reboot occurs. So I can install, program files, Symantec Endpoint Security, and then I'll have a folder called 12, and that is where I will install things. When the uninstall and when the reboot of that happens, it's going to clean up my SEP 11 directories. The other cool things is that I do not have to have separate x64 or x32 packages, and I can deploy those within the same executable. I don't have to have separate executables and remember which executable I'm deploying, etc. We have improved third-party distribution, whether I'm using Altiris or SCCM or some other third-party product distribution. They've eased that third-party distribution. Gives you the ability now to send a web link out, remote push, or then save that package for offline exporting. Reporting was always a pain within Endpoint Protection 11 of deployment. So we've eased reporting within the management platform. And we can even get more reports if you're running the Symantec management platform with IT Analytics and the SEP 12 package. So you can see a couple of informations here on my report and how exactly it looks. A lot of notifications have been improved. We can email you on your license notifications, when those emails are, when your license are going to expire, when you're over deployment, etc. A lot of times we had a lot of reboots happening. We've really consolidated how reboots are happening within 12.1. You can read the screen. I'm not going to read it to you, but really, when am I going to allow my reboot to happen? And how many times that reboot can be delayed. So the real key part is the screen here, the screenshot that shows exactly where my computers are happening and how I've set that up. So I'm going to do a delayed restart. And it's going to automatically do that restart at 3 in the morning if nobody has rebooted yet. A lot of other improvements on the admin side, improved performance of the scan. They've added a way for you to recover your passwords if you've lost your set passwords. They've eased that. Updated, a live update. Really, I'm going to get to a slide here in a minute, but the scalability has improved greatly. The number is between 60 and 70,000 nodes per SEPM, and I think I called that out specifically in an updating slide. Something that I love down here is the ability to configure separate Mac and Windows live updates through a single policy. So I don't have to have separate policies for my Mac machines versus my Windows machines. So improved password management, granular access control on that intelligent administration. On the blazing performance bullet point here, improved scalability, improved live update, and improved performance. This is an example of allowing me to email out or reset a password if I want to, and we can recover that via email. This is brand new. We can set up site rights, and we can create that limited admin rights per site. And this really allows us to get very granular in my administration of my SEP system. Couple of things that I want to call out here. First of all, improved scalability. IIS is replaced with Apache. So there was much rejoicing in the land, potentially. Easily launch those common tasks. I was wrong. I think I called out there was 60 to 70 clients per SEPM. My bullet point was actually 80,000. I apologize for that. So 80,000 clients per SEPM. They have automatic database maintenance built in to it, and reporting is SSL by default. Improved update. Boy, my PowerPoint slide is not showing correctly here. So really what we've talked about it, improved performance, improved idle time update. So then when my system is idle, we can update those and I can get very granular in my policies. All right, I've talked and hinted about this a little bit, and I feel like I'm PowerPointing you guys to death, so I apologize. Really what we're doing is with reputation optimized scanning, we can increase the speed of that scan. So traditional scanning has to scan every file. Reputation-based, I know and can trust certain files, and then I only have to scan those files that are new. So I set up my reputation in the management platform, or sorry, within the policy and the management platform, whether it's trust, reputation, or not, and it can vastly improve my performance. A couple of little infographics here. About 3.5 times faster than McAfee and 2 times faster than Microsoft. Also, memory usage is down. Yay! To be honest, guys, I used to go out for lunch whenever my SEP scanned. Literally, like, oh, SEP is scanning. It's time to go for lunch. Now, on my laptop, I don't even notice it, to be perfectly honest. I'll get a little flash up that says your antivirus scan is done. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it. Where previous versions of SEP, it was like, okay, it's noon. My antivirus scan is taken off. Time to head to lunch. Now, with improved scanning and improved memory usage, it's really getting lightweight. One of the problems that we're seeing is virtual endpoints and how those are working. Symantec is working on this in SEP 12, and I think has a great solution here in SEP 12. My 3 bullet points that I really want to talk about: better performance, improved scalability, and built for virtualization. Let's talk about virtualization. A couple of awesome things that stand out on this slide, and I'll give you just a second here to read it. Virtual image exception, I can build my gold or my baseline image, and then we can exclude all of those files. I can build a shared insight cache, which allows all of my servers to share those scan results. Virtual client tagging makes the clients aware. We'll talk about these a little bit. Offline image scanner, and then the ability to randomize the scan. So, virtual image exception is a tool that gives us admins the ability to easily set exclusions for files. This is Enterprise Edition only, so if you have the small business edition, it doesn't work. I run it within a virtual machine, and it allows me to then build my exclusions for files within that virtual environment. So how does it work? I scan the first system. I collect the list of all the files found, and then I can whitelist all the files found on that client. So this is really allowing me to build my gold virtual image and say skip everything that's found on here. And you can see how I can activate that within a policy for both on-demand and auto-protect scanning. So all of the ones with checkboxes were verified through the virtual image exception tool, and then I'm just going to scan the ones that are not. Shared insight cache, I don't need to talk about this, but this is allowing me to keep a shared cache of that global insight, and then I can then reference that instead of all of my clients dealing with that cache. Built into the SEP client, makes the client aware whether it's running in a virtual environment or not. It will report back to the management platform that it is running on a virtual machine. And I can get virtual status and hypervisor information in my report and is searchable. Offline image scanner allows me to scan VMware images only currently. and then I can scan that offline VMware file for viruses if I need to. This is an example of me adding that file, kicking it out to a log file, and you can see the scan of that offline image. Gives me scan randomization will give me a window for scanning. So up to 23 hours, which would be a daily random window, up to 761 hours would be a month. This is available only on the Windows client. A couple of notes here on I/O performance improvement. 12.1 versus 11, straight up 60% reduction. If I'm using the shared Insight cache, it's an additional 50 to 80% reduction in total disk I/O. And then if I'm using the virtual image exception, it's 50 to 80% reduction in total disk I/O. So really going back to that built for virtualization, improved performance to help you out in your virtual environments and manage those through an endpoint protection layer. Step 12, if I could say 3 bullet points that you need to take away. First of all, unrivaled security. Reputation-based scanning, the ability to leverage those in my scans is something brand new. It's not available in any other corporate product. Unrivaled security. Blazing performance. By leveraging my insight, my reputation, and some of the other features that we talked about today, blazing performance. And then number 3, built for virtualization. This is a vastly improved product. It's a game changer. Symantec is really excited about SEP 12. We at ITS are really